take it to our flock, and they go, wow, yeah, let's try that. And at least there's buy-in, and that's where we're trying. We don't always succeed. We have wonderful failures, which lead to our real breakthrough successes.
I'm Tanya, and Tanya Hood. I work here at the Missions Thrift Store. I'm the head coordinator for the clothing, and what I do is actually, I come over, we sort clothes, we hang them up, and we take them out and put them on the racks. And we have a great time doing it. The kids introduce one another, and they're really great.
Probably just a bunch of junky stuff.
No, it's not. You can get really wonderful things. I mean, I find a lot of kids saying, oh, I want to get this, I want to get that. And even myself, I buy from here. It's wonderful.
Do people have fun shopping here?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. We have people come here and they stay here for 2-3 hours. I see them sometimes taking a nap, and I go over to them, and you're okay? Oh, no, just resting a bit. And then they get up and they're on to move
Shop
on.
until they drop, and then they get up and
Yes, and we have designer name items here. We just don't sell junk. We don't sell junk at all. We have designer name items, and as I said before, nothing ripped, torn, dirty. We don't put that out on the floor.
Tanya, you keep getting a little bit farther away.
I'm sorry.
You're not getting away this time.
I'm sorry.
Hold still. Hold still. I want to say that I don't know of anything more powerful when you want to influence people than to sincerely enjoy them.
Oh, that's true. The family that prays together stays together, but the family that plays together really gets bonded. We need to pray. We're pretty good at that usually. But we need to play too, and our staff plays together. And you play and pray. And what that does is we do need to enjoy this journey. God didn't say, now here's the journey. It's hard. I mean, I watched Pilgrim's Progress. I love Pilgrim's Progress. It's a great book, great story. But a lot of us think, yeah, that's it, man. It's that 100-pound pack, and we got to go through the slough. You know, the whole story. It's a metaphor, so it's a valuable book. I love the book. But I think the images sometimes we just imagine, wow, if Christian life's not a drudgery, we're probably on the wrong trail. And I'm not sure that's a correct reading. I know how we get to some of that. I know that we have brothers and sisters doing enormous suffering in the world. Seasons and reasons happen in the church, can be a suffering church, a persecuted church. In the West, that's not been our situation for a long time. And so there can be a joy in serving the Lord, and it shouldn't be tied to materialism and prosperity. It should be tied to our spiritual health. And that's why you see people in communism who, I've gone to the communist world, I've talked to people, and I'm sitting there, I'm so enamored with all their suffering, and they're all excited about Jesus.
Yeah.
And I'm just going, what am I missing here? And it's like, I mean, they have scars on their body of how they've suffered, and it's not even on their radar. It's like, oh yeah, we have to deal with that.
Yeah,
They've just learned to thrive in that environment because Jesus is real, and we can learn from that.
And we'll follow up on that topic, because Doug has been to lots of countries and lots of churches in other countries, and he has traveled hundreds of thousands of miles and more. Let's go ahead and take a look at this thrift store. It's an intriguing example of everything we've been talking about so far. And I want to point out that we don't want pastors to think, okay, we got to do something like that, because then it can become a drudgery.
Yeah.
It's out of very possibly out of context for many reasons.
That's right.
But it's an example of what can happen when people do build a brain trust around them, and Pastor Doug isn't saying, okay, this is what we're going to do, the Lord told me, because now you've got the upper hand. I mean, You're the guy who's standing on the top of Mount Sinai, right? You're the only one who knows what God wants. Or am I missing something?
Yeah, you are. And in a collegial environment, our thrift store is a direct result of a good idea from God that worked its way through our brain trust. We were trying to do a good thing. We let our short-term team people run a yard sale for two reasons. One, they need to raise money to go to Mexico, Romania, Africa, wherever. And they need to become a team before they go. That's a real high value for us. So working a sweaty, hard yard sale is a good way to do it. The problem was it got so big, it had gone the other direction where it was burdensome and hard. And the whole church said, well, that's what the short-termers do. So it was their thing, and it had gotten so big and out of hand, it was wearing them out. And we knew it. And we had taken over more space in the warehouse than we needed. It was inefficient. We'd have to store it, pull it out, and do 5 or 6 of these for each trip. And one of my colleagues, it was her idea. She came up with a yard sale. We helped nourish it. It grew kind of out of control and good management. And we had a core of people who could not have been more dedicated.
Really?
And we were wearing them out. And so I was sitting back analyzing. I said, we can't sustain this. I got problems with my facility people, rightly so. We got problems with the worship people who store stuff. Our customers are going through, it's so hard to find stuff that's all over this huge warehouse. All that's to say is there was a good ministry became a real serious problem. And it was still producing the money and the team building, but at what price? And in my brain trust, I have a guy who's committed to the deaf. The people can't hear.
Okay.
And Mike Booz, in a previous life, was a vice president for Goodwill and had his master's degree in workplace development, like many of those do. And so he knew thrift stores, and he suggested, he was the first one at our brain trust, and our council said to him, have you guys thought about turning this into a thrift store?
Oh, really?
Yeah. It just came up. He and I maybe have talked about it. We floated the idea with our council, and I began to take that seriously. I'm thinking, and this is where leadership is important. There were lots of people who made the yard sale work, and I wouldn't say I was one of them. I allowed it. I blessed it. I did what I could for it, but I didn't own that and drive it. My colleague did, and she did a great job with it. But she was wearing out, too. She was looking for a better answer. And so it took me 2 years to go from what's good, but how do we make it better? And God taught us a lot of things in that 2 years. First, I had to get committed to say, God, are you leading us to a yard sale? And I started looking at the pieces. The ingredients seemed to be there. So I said, Mike, how would we get from here to there? And I said, hey, council, I'd like to explore this. Are you going to stand behind me if we go explore it? Let me go get some facts. I'll bring it back to you. So I went to Michigan to some Christian thrift stores, the Bible League, and I went in there and spent 6 hours with them. I watched what they did. I asked them questions. I went to 3 or 4 different ones. I went and talked to the guy who had launched them years ago for the Bible League. So I did some homework, and I began to say, we could do this. This would be way better than what we're doing. So I came back. I shared that. I talked to my senior pastor, my elders. We put a proposal together. Did a lot of due diligence. Mike did what you would do if you were going to launch a new thrift store.
And to find out if it did fit your context.
That's right.
To keep going.
Absolutely. We did all the research. We called to a Christian realtor. We did all the stuff you'd think, hey, we got permission to start a business's mission. And it's just a natural graduation of this huge yard sale that's unsustainable.
That's
Now, here's where God comes into it. We had thought we would go 3 blocks away, rent a retail outlet. We're in a retail area, and we'll just do that. Typical model. When we went to our elders and had this wonderful proposal that they knew we were working and that the council was behind, they turned us down. I mean, we were kind of expecting, I wouldn't say a rubber stamp, but we thought they knew what they were doing. They encouraged us to do it. They wanted it to happen. And yet when they looked at our proposal, we had just gotten out of debt as a church, and it was at the beginning of the recession, and we didn't want to go into a 3-year contract that we'd have to do on a building.
Which recession?
The 2007, 2009. And so there was some conviction and value reasons. They said, we'd love for you to do this, but we just don't see it happening that way. So we were all deflated and thinking, wow, did we miss something here? What's going on? And then, honestly, none of us know the next conversations. It probably began with my senior pastor and I debriefing a month later and going, well, man, I don't know where we go with this. We can't keep the yard sale like it is, wearing everybody out, and all the problems we created in the facility because of how we were not storing and managing stuff well. Anyway, long story short, what happened through that collegial, think tank, honest place, they ended up saying, well, why don't you do it in the building? We had 37,000 square feet left in the building, and they said, why don't you do it in here? We thought, well, we didn't ask because we didn't even think that was possible. So in our little brain trust, we never assumed we could do it in the building, not that we wanted to.
In your congregation, the one where your congregation meets?
No, the Missions Council. Yeah, we have a big box, and part of it was a warehouse, and part of it's still a warehouse. And worship and admin people, that's where we keep our equipment to deal with the building, and we do the yard sale. And we have cages for storage and all that, scouts and whatnot. We said, in the building, we never thought of that. And Mike's thinking, no, that breaks every retail rule we have. We can't even find. They said, you can have it for free. You can do it. And we'll give you the money to do the refit. It was going to be a lot of money, $75,000 to set up the store.
$75,000.
And the elders loaned it to us from the reserves, which we paid it back from the store eventually. But here's the thing.
Even that is interesting.
Yes, it is. So we had looked at doing it with a partner, and we couldn't, a Christian partner, and we couldn't get happy with it. And we finally realized, the elders just said, hey, this is becoming content. We want to be good partners, and now we're fighting over how to share the profits long term. And so we said, we'll just fund it ourselves and make it ours. And we'll give you the money, and you won't have to have seed money in it. And that's what we've done. So what's happened is we're in a totally different place than I imagined. But as the leader, I think because I'm more of a transformative leader, I navigated us through that to where we are now, and we're very profitable, breaking all kinds of rules that you shouldn't do, but God is somehow helping us overcome that. It's better for our customers, better for our members. Our whole church owns it now. They're very proud of it. We're making 5 times as much income, and we're touching way more people in the community. It's like a win-win-win-win.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the thrift store.
It's a case study of how God could do something transformative in them. It could be totally different. It could be a daycare center or who knows what.
Yes. Now, Tanya, like I said, you can't just keep moving away from it.
Okay.
Because this cord only goes like 6 or 8
Okay.
feet. We're getting ready to go back into this room because I want to go back there and ask all kinds of questions because that's really where the action is as far as I can see. There's a lot of interesting stuff back there. What are we going to see? And why is all that stuff back there?
Okay, people come in, they donate everything. I've had a lady come in and donate a bread maker, and then she also donated a blender. She said, well, I bought a brand new one. So I said, well, let me take it to the Missions thrift store.
You can come on back. You can come on through here. You won't hurt anything. You can.
Okay, I'm coming to get that green
Yeah.
bin in the center.
Okay, that's no problem.
And,
this is just showing everybody.
Yes, this
accurate.
is what actually happens. I mean, we find different things to do. There's always something to do.
It takes just 1 or 2 people maybe to run this place.
No. It takes a whole army to run this place.
Do we need anybody else here to help?
Yes, we need as many as possible.
Like 50,
It doesn't matter your age.
200.
Hey, maybe 60, 70, 100. It doesn't matter because we always need people all the time. And it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. We always have something for you to do. And remember, we have snacks.
I tell you what, girl, you're trying to get away again. You're not going anywhere.
We have snacks for you. So, I mean, we have water. We have all kind of snacks. So if you could take a break. I mean, we don't push you. But once you start hanging and separating, you have so much fun, you forget about the time.
How much time is Megan going to stay here on an average night,
Well,
evening, day, or whatever?
she usually stays here about 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever the time. And then maybe sometimes she'll stay maybe 3 hours. It all
And
depends.
she gets real sick of this, and then she just has to get out.
No, she doesn't. Her mom just comes and picks her up. That's it. And her mom was here today.
Everybody seems happy. I was here yesterday. Everybody seems happy here.
We are. This is a wonderful place to be. And the thing about it is, we're helping other people in countries and around the city of Raleigh.
In what way?
We donate, we give monies, we give our time, but I mean, especially monies when it's needed. And we have several different agencies that we actually work with. And so it's just awesome.
Okay, let's
There's
move
another
over
reason that it's fun.
here. See, you're in the picture now, and it's lopsided.
Well, there's a
There we
reason.
go.
She's also not just a volunteer, she's a staff member. She works for our department because she bought into the
She's
vision.
she's
an
an
employee. Yeah.
Yes.
But before that, she volunteered before she was an employee.
Yeah, hold on there, because she keeps
Yeah, and she
sliding.
was such a good volunteer. When we got to where we needed to hire someone, it was obvious that we needed her because she gets the vision. And so when she's down here folding clothes, she hasn't forgot why we're doing it, that we want people to understand why we're doing it and enjoy doing it. So without staff and key other core volunteers creating that atmosphere, people can come here and say, man, this is...
So the volunteers, they kind of feel what you feel? Or tell me about
She
that.
shares these stories all the time with us.
Yes. I mean, the volunteers, they are the core because they come in, they pick up, they want to know what to do, and they work with us.
It's so cool to go over the top of the trees.
I know.
Just looking down.